Welcome, and thank you so much for tuning in to the special guest artist recital. It's my pleasure to have two great friends in town, Fiona Gillespie, soprano, and Holmes Morton, plucker. We're going to open this program with two songs by the great, very earliest Baroque composer, Giulio Caccini.
These two songs. Giulio Caccini was one of the first composers who was writing in this revolutionary new style that came pretty much right on the dot of 1600 in Florence. And the mood of this time in poetry and in art was all about contrasts. The best thing I always tell people to think of when they're listening to this music is a Caravaggio painting. These really dark, shadowy places in contrast with these really yellowy, illuminated, brilliant things. This first song captures that so perfectly. The whole text, which of course is in Italian, a brief overview of it is just think of every sort of opposite descriptive thing that you can. So war and peace and light and dark and death and birth. It's a tormented love song, but this guy, the poet who wrote it, presumably a male, doesn't seem to be able to figure out how he feels, and he loves the difficulty of that. He's not at odds with the torment of feelings that he's having. And the second piece is probably one of the most famous and beloved to come out of the Italian Baroque period. Some of you might recognize it, Amarilli mia bella. It's the first in the Italian book of 24 songs and arias for you voice students out there. You should all sing it if you have the chance. So this is Non al ciel co tanti lumi, the first song. Non al cielo tanti lumi, tanti stelle, mari e fiumi, non aprì giri viole, tanti raggi non al sole, quanta doi mendo agnora, cor gentil che si innamora, quanta doi mendo agnora, cor gentil che si innamora, cor gentil che si innamora. Pena il lungo e gioir corto, morir vivo e viver morto, spemicetta un desire, merci poca avrà languire, falsi risi, veri pianti, e la vita degli amanti, falsi risi, veri pianti, e la vita degli amanti, e la vita degli amanti. Neve al sole, nebbia al vento, e l'ammoggio e ai contento degli affanni e delle pene, ai che fingia mai non viene. C'è di morte estingue ardore, chi non ama accende amore. C'è di morte estingue ardore, chi non ama accende amore, chi non ama accende amore. Penso io che il cuore solo può dar fine al mio granduolo, vedi voi già miro io, del mio stato acerbo il rio, sol l'amor tirano accuso, occhi belli e non ne scuso, occhi belli amando accuso, occhi belli e non ne scuso, occhi belli e non ne scuso. Mia bella, non credi o nel mio cor dolce desio amor mio. Credi
decency keep when they woo. At length she consented and gave him a vow, and jockey he made for his jointure a cow, and jockey he made for his jointure a cow. They panelled their dobbins and rode to the fair, still kissing and fondling until they came there. They called on the parson and by him were wed, and Moggy she took her dear jockey to bed, and Moggy she took her dear jockey to bed. I prayed it all the way through. She said she'd tell her mommy. I held her tay, my beating heart, my own, my smiling mammy. I held her tay, my beating heart, young smiling mammy. I house it cost me dear, I've wealth of planchet near. Ich gave was denken I'm there, Guinea will your mammy. The smile came off her bonny face. I'm Menally, my mammy. The smile came off her bonny face. I'm Menally, my mammy. She's given me meat, she's given me clays. She's been me comfort all my days. My father's death from many ways. I'm Menally, my mammy. We'll take her home and make her fine, my kind-hearted mammy. We'll take her home and make her fine, my kind-hearted mammy. We'll give her meat, we'll give her clean, we'll be her comfort all her days. Though we think easy of nonsense, I'll gang and ask my mammy.
Okay, so our last set here is more in the vein of folk music. The first one is a ballad that I wrote about a series of murders that happened in Edinburgh in the 1800s. There was such a demand from the Doctors' College at the time for bodies to dissect, to learn about human anatomy on, but they were really hard to come by, and people began body snatching. And then these two men hit upon the idea of killing guests at their very seedy tenement-style lodging house, who they didn't think would be missed, and began selling the bodies to the doctors. And these doctors didn't ask any questions because they needed this material. Anyway, it culminated in a giant lawsuit, one of the biggest of the century, and that brought up a lot of attention. And actually, the laws were passed after that, that bodies were able to be donated to science. And so this ballad is written in advocacy of laws keeping up with the advance of science. And after that, we have two more traditional ballads, one from the American tradition, which Paul's going to play the banjo on. That's William and Margaret. A longer title, Fair William and Sweet Margaret, comes from a huge family of ballads going back 400 or 500 years that have variants in England and Scotland and Ireland, and maybe even potentially Scandinavia. They've related some of these too. But you'll hear our version is quite Appalachian sounding. And the last song we're doing is an old Scottish and English ballad called Willie's Lady. And it tells the story of, again, very old and really fantastical and supernatural in this case. King Willie brings home a wife who his mother, who is a sorceress, disapproves of, and she puts a curse on her that she will lay 9 months pregnant and unable to give birth to this child. And the two of them have to devise a way to figure out what all of the things that the queen wove into his wife's being and underneath of her bed, sort of like evil talismans. They have to undo all of this stuff. That one's really texty, so that's kind of an overview for you so you know what's going on in Willie's Lady, our final number. So this is the Anatomist's Act that we'll start with.
Listen
asleep. Well, the night passed away and the day coming on into the morning light. Sweet Wendy said, I'm troubled in my head by the dreams that I dreamed last night. Last night, the dream that I dreamed last night. Such dreams as these, I know that they mean no good. For I dreamed that my bower was full of red swine, and my bride's bed was full of blood, of blood. My bride's bed was full of blood. Oh, where's Lady Margaret? Is she in her room? Or is she out in the hall? Lady Margaret, she lay in a cold black coffin with her face turned to the wall. The wall, her face turned to the wall. King Willie, he sailed over the raging foam. He wooed a wife and he brought her home. He wooed her for her long and golden hair, his mother wrapped her a mighty care. A weary spell she's laid on her. She'd be with child for long and many a year, but the child she would never bear. And in her bower she lies in pain. King Willie at her bed, and he do stand with salt and tears down his cheeks to run. King Willie back to his mother he did run, and he's there as a begging son. Says my true love has fine and noble steed, the legs of which you never did see. And every part of his horse is made, is hanging 50 silver bells and 10, is hanging 50 bells and 10. This goodly gift shall be your own, if back to my own true love you'll turn again, that she might bear her baby son. Oh, of a child she'll never light or be, nor of the sickness will she ever be free. But she will die and she will turn to clay, and you will wed another maid. Then sighing said this weary man, as back to his own true love he turned again, I wish my life were at an end. Then sighing said this weary man, as back to his own true love he turned again, I wish my life were at an end. Go down to the marketplace, and you must buy a loaf of wax, and you must shape as a babe to nurse, and you must make 2 eyes all out of glass, and you must make it real to pass, and ask your mother to the christening day, and you must stand there close as you can be, and you must hear what she do say. King Willie gazed on down to the marketplace, and he has bought him a loaf of wax, and he has shaped it as a babe to nurse, and he has made 2 eyes of glass. He has his mother to the christening day, and he has stood there close as he could be, that he might hear what she did say, and how she spat and how she swore. She spied a babe where no babe could be before. She spied a babe where none could be before. was it who undid the 9 which knots, braided in amongst this lady's locks? And who was it who took out the combs of care, braided in amongst this lady's hair? And who was it to the master kid that ran and slept all beneath this lady's bed, that ran and slept all beneath her bed? And who was it laced her left shoe? And who was it out of her lighter be that she might bear her baby boy? And it was Billy who undid the 9 which knots, braided in amongst this lady's locks. And it was Billy who took out the combs of care, braided in amongst this lady's hair. And it was Billy to the master kid